According to Vauxhall, this car is quite simply the coolest town and country small car on the market. And that is where my problems begin with the Adam Rocks Air. Because if you have to be the one to tell the world that you're cool, you quite obviously aren't. But I'm going to do my best to put that issue to one side and not hold it against the car that Vauxhall hope will broaden the appeal of their already popular Adam hatchback, on which the Rocks is based. So what have they done to create this epitome of cool? For a start, the Rocks has been toughened up to deal with life in that urban jungle. There's plastic cladding to protect it against those treacherous car park scrapes. You get a slightly jacked up ride to help you take on the road. Add the full-length fabric roof and some plastic bumpers into the equation, and you get a car that seems to me to be struggling to find an identity. Things are more familiar inside though. The interior has been carried over from the standard Adam, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's all well laid out, there's plenty of places to keep all your bits and pieces, and it feels pretty well made. All of the in-car systems are operated from this central screen, which is nice and easy to use. For now, there's just one trim level, the Rocks Air, and it comes with air conditioning, a digital radio, 17-inch alloys as standard, but the 18-inch wheels in our test car are an £800 option, and of course, that folding roof. And there's a stack of options for you to choose from as well, including things like parking sensors and a quite tempting £275 infotainment system, which means you can use your smartphone apps for things like sat-nav through the touchscreen. Here in the back, things aren't really that positive. Legroom just isn't very good at all. This is the seat in my driving position, and look, it's not an awful lot there, is there? And don't forget, I'm only 5'4", so it's going to be a real struggle for anyone taller than me in here. I know this is a small car, but the Volkswagen Up is a small car, and that manages to fit 4 adults in comfortably. On the plus side though, the folding roof doesn't eat into too much of the headroom, but then let's face it, there's not really much headroom to be eating into in the first place, is there? And it's a similar story here at the back. It can't even compete with the Mini when it comes to boot space. You get just 185 litres of load space, tiny compared to the 251 litres that the smaller VW Up has to offer. One of the big issues with plain old Adam was his engine range, and thankfully Vauxhall have rectified that this time around. Alongside the existing and rather sluggish 1.2 and 1.4 litre engines, you now get the option of a nice 1 litre. It's brand new and it feels nice and punchy. If you add to it the 6-speed manual gearbox, you really do have a nice car to drive. Now, it's never going to be as much fun as a Mini, but it certainly does the job. It's got nice light steering and it makes it a fun car to drive around town. And those alloy wheels may look okay, but they crash over lumps and bumps in the road and transmit a fair amount of road noise. And if you do decide to go for the superior 1 litre turbo engine, you'll end up paying just under £17,000 for the privilege. That's around £1,500 more than the Fiat 500c and £3,000 more than the basic Mini, which for my money are both better cars, even when you do take into consideration the extra equipment that you get on Adam Rocks. One thing I do like is the full-length fabric sunroof. It just peels back at the flick of a switch. It takes just 7 seconds and it can be opened when you're on the move, which is very handy. And that tiny engine in there means that you get a respectable 55 mpg, making this a cheap car to run, with road tax costing just £30 a year. And of course there's all that personalisation that the Adam is known for. Different exterior colours, roof colours, wheels, graphics. Apparently no two Adams are likely to ever be the same. Just looking at the configurator for Adam Rocks makes my head spin. It's fair to say though that you won't be stuck for choice. But beware, you may believe that an Adam Rocks Air in pink Kong with white My Fire door mirrors is the answer to your dreams. But it may not do too much for its resale value. Somehow I've managed to get to the end of this review without mentioning the name, Adam Rocks. It's just a bit daft, isn't it? And sadly for poor old Adam, he might now have that decent 1 litre engine and been beefed up a bit along the way, but he doesn't really rock my world, and he certainly wouldn't get a second date. Vauxhall says the Adam Rocks has no real rivals, but it has a point. We're not exactly awash with rugged-looking city cars. But if you want chic looks and that rollback roof, you've got to check out the Fiat 500c. If it's striking looks and a raised driving position you're after, then look at our review of the slightly larger Nissan Juke. And don't forget to click on the logo to subscribe to the Carbuyer channel.